They were supposed to be brothers in arms. For weeks they had marched under Roman banners, eaten from Roman fires, and slept in the safety of a Roman camp.
It will be a long winter,
And then, in the coldest hour before dawn, 2,200 of them rose without a sound and drove
Roman
their
scum!
blades into the men lying asleep beside them.
Wake up! Hold the line!
There was no warning,
Attack now!
no battle
Leave
cry,
no survivors! Alarm!
no declaration
To
of
arms!
war. Only the wet sound of
Hold the
steel
line!
in
Stand
the
together!
dark,
Kill them
and
all!
the last
Attack!
confused breaths of soldiers who died, never knowing that the enemy had been sleeping next to them all along. By the time the camp jolted awake, the traitors were already gone, vanishing across the frozen ground toward the man they now called Master, carrying with them a gift so grim it would become a message the whole world understood. And this is the question that should keep you here until the very end. How does a single man, stranded on hostile soil, with no supply line, no reinforcements, and no road home, reach into the heart of the mightiest empire on earth and make it tremble in the dark? His name was Hannibal. He was hundreds of miles from Carthage, surrounded by enemies, hunted by the most powerful war machine the ancient world had ever built. And by every rule of war, he should already have been dead. Instead, he was winning. And every move you are about to witness, every whispered bribe, every act of betrayal, every small and seemingly meaningless decision made in the dead of night
Do not let them
was
escape the fog.
quietly bending toward one place. A single freezing river, where 40,000 men would march out full of confidence at dawn, and learn far too late that the battle had already been lost the night before they ever drew their swords. Back in Rome, the news arrived like a blow no one had prepared
Maintain the
for.
formation!
Hannibal
Forward
had
march!
crossed the Alps. It was supposed to be impossible. No
Bring urgent
army
news from the
marched
north.
through those
The legions
mountains
at
and
Trebia are
lived to tell of
shattered!
it.
The Carthaginians
And
have
yet the
broken our
reports
lines.
kept
It is a
coming.
disaster. Hold the
Each
line.
one worse than
We
the
are through the
last,
pass.
until
Italy
the Senate
awaits
could
us
no
below.
longer pretend the war would stay far away. It was no longer a distant campaign fought on foreign shores. It was
The northern
coming
tribes
for
are moving
Rome
faster than
itself.
anticipated. We must send word to the legions
Already
on the
the
frontier.
signs were
How did they
grim.
bypass the Aqua Augusta?
At a river called the Tychnos, Hannibal had struck first and struck hard, scattering the Roman cavalry and wounding the consul Publius Scipio in the fighting. And when a Roman supply town called Plastidium held a great store of grain,
This way,
Hannibal
quickly!
did not
Protect the
waste a
commander!
single
Hold formation
soldier
around him!
taking it.
Back to the camp!
He simply offered its commander more gold than Rome had ever paid him, and the man opened the gates. In one
We offer
quiet
terms that will spare your
exchange,
people.
the
Open the gates and no harm will
Carthaginians
come
were
to Plastidium.
fed,
Your word
and
means
the
little,
Romans went
Carthaginian.
hungry.
Why should we trust you?
So Rome sent its answer. 40,000 men under the other consul of the year, Tiberius Sempronius Longus, one of the largest forces the Republic had ever put in the field. But two armies had now become one, and two commanders who could not agree on a single thing. Sempronius wanted blood, and he
We must
wanted
attack
it
now while the fog conceals us.
before his
The
year
men
in
are freezing,
command ran
Sempronius.
out,
We
and some
cannot advance in this
stranger
weather.
from Rome arrived
The hour
to steal
demands
his
action,
glory.
not hesitation. We march
Scipio,
immediately, or we
still
lose this
pale from
advantage.
his wound, urged patience, and he said something that would haunt everything to come. It was not losing that
I
frightened
understand your
him.
impatience, gentlemen,
It was
but we
how
must
they
wait.
lost.
Hasty action in this fog would be
Every
disastrous.
move they made,
We hold our position.
the
Hannibal
enemy
is
had
baiting us,
already
Sempronius.
answered
He wants
before
us to
they
attack
made
on his
it.
terms. We must wait.
But
We
no
cannot
one
show weakness,
wanted
Scipio.
patience.
The legions are ready now.
They wanted a victory, and pride, as it so often does, was about to write the ending for them.
Check that
When the
chainmail,
first
soldier.
real
We march
clash
soon.
came,
It is
it
secure,
came almost
Centurion.
by accident.
We are ready for the Carthaginian.
Hannibal had sent raiders
Attack!
to
Move
burn the
forward!
Gallic villages along the river, punishing the tribes he suspected of quietly bargaining with Rome. And the terrified villagers begged the Romans for protection. Sempronius gave it gladly, because it gave him the fight he had been craving.
Before they reach the river!
But watch what Hannibal
Your
did
plea for help
next,
is heard.
because it
Centurions,
tells you
the enemy
everything
approaches.
about the
Form
kind
the
of
line.
mind
We give
Rome
them the
was up
battle they
against.
seek.
As the skirmish grew, his officers begged him to commit, insisting the men were willing and the moment was theirs. He refused. He looked at the ground, saw that it
legions press
favored
hard
the
on the
enemy
flank, sir.
on
We
a
must
day
act.
the enemy had
Let them
chosen,
press.
and pulled
The
his
mud
men
by the river
back.
is where we strike.
Let them
The
have
legions
it,
press
he
hard on
said.
the flank, sir. We must act.
Let them call
Let
it
them
a
press.
Roman victory.
The mud by the river is where
Because
we
a
strike.
man who believes he has
Hannibal,
already
they are
won
faltering.
stops being careful.
We must send aid to the flank before
And
it
that
collapses.
was the whole point. He had just handed
Victory!
Sempronius
The
a
gods
small,
favor
cheap
us!
triumph,
Hold the line,
and by
men!
morning, it would cost the Romans everything.
We move through the mist,
Then came the
bypass
night,
the fires. The
and a
second legion
series
is
of
vulnerable on the
small
right flank,
things,
Commander.
none
Tell
of
Gisco
which
to
looked
ready the cavalry
important on
now.
its own.
We will place the heavy
A
siege
dry
equipment here.
watercourse south
Ensure
of
the
the
ground
open
is firm
ground.
enough.
Its
This depression
banks
will serve well
steep
for
enough
drainage,
to hide
Commander.
men lying flat. 2,000 chosen soldiers, 1,000 horse, and 1,000 foot, led quietly into that hollow by Hannibal's own brother, Mago, with orders to wait, to let the entire Roman army march past and forget they existed. A whispered instruction to strike only when the enemy was fully committed to
The
the
silver
front,
for your loyalty.
and not a moment before.
Hannibal has our swords.
None of it seemed to matter. A ditch here, a bribe there, a village burning on the horizon. And somewhere in the dark, the Gauls who had been bought with gold understood a bitter truth that gold could never soften, that they were the ones caught between two empires, their homes reduced to ash, their loyalty traded like grain. Piece by piece, in
Fall
the
into
freezing
formation.
dark,
Ready your
a
shields.
trap was being woven that no
Silence.
Roman would see
The sun approaches.
until it closed around
Fall
them.
into formation.
At
Ready your
first
shields.
light, before the Roman soldiers had even
Silence.
shaken the sleep
The sun
from their
approaches.
eyes,
Come
Hannibal
out and
sent
fight,
his
you dogs!
Numidian horsemen
We challenge you!
splashing across the river, not to fight, but to provoke. They rode straight up to the edge of the Roman camp, hurled their javelins, wheeled their
Faster,
horses,
before the
and
legions
stunned
deploy.
the
To
sleeping
arms.
army
Everyone
awake
out.
like a
Form the
swarm
line.
no one
Ready the
could
pillar.
swat away.
Do not let them return. See how
And
they run.
Sempronius,
To arms, men.
hungry
We
for
pursue
the
them
fight
now.
he had
To
wanted
victory.
all along, took the bait exactly as Hannibal knew
Centuria,
he would.
add Signia to your
He
ranks
threw
quickly.
his men out into
Move
the
faster,
freezing
the sun is
dawn
rising.
on
Ready
empty
the pillar.
stomachs.
By the gods, it's
No
cold.
time to eat.
Cavalry,
No
advance.
time to warm their
Infantry,
hands.
follow in
No
support.
time to think. Cavalry first, then the skirmishers, then tens of thousands of soldiers marching in the bitter cold, straight toward the water, believing they were chasing a fleeing enemy. And now, one by one, every small thing from the night before began to come due. The Numidians played their part perfectly.
Come on, faster!
Always
you move like
staying
old men!
just out of reach, never quite
Hold
letting
the
the
line!
Romans
Advance!
catch them, drawing them on and on until there was no turning back. And waiting in their path was the Trebia, swollen with winter rain and
The water is
brutally
cold, men,
punishing
but our
the
resolve
cold.
is colder. Move
Hannibal
forward!
had timed the entire morning for this exact hour, for this exact river, at its coldest and its deepest.
My bones
The
ache from
Romans
cold.
waded in anyway.
At least the stew
Tens
is
of
hot.
thousands of men
It will be a
pushing
long
into the
winter,
freezing current, soaked to the waist, soaked to the chest, their bodies going numb before a
Die,
single
Roman scum!
blow had been struck. And on the far
Wake up!
bank,
Hold the line!
warm and dry and
Attack
fed,
now! Leave
Hannibal's
no survivors!
army
Alarm!
stood waiting,
To arms!
rested by their fires, patient as the
Hold
trap
the
they
line!
had
Stand
become.
together! Kill them all!
When the two
Attack!
lines finally crashed together, the pieces of that trap snapped shut one after another, each one a small decision made in the dark, now revealed for what it truly was. The Roman skirmishers reached for their javelins and found them already
Alarma!
spent,
Festinate
wasted,
omnes!
at
Ad vallum,
dawn chasing
formate
shadows
aciem,
across the
ilia fugiunt.
field, while
Alarma!
Hannibal's slingers,
Festinate
who had
omnes!
thrown nothing
Ad vallum,
and
formate
saved
aciem,
everything,
ilia fugiunt.
cut them down from a distance they could not answer. In the center, the Roman legions fought like the finest soldiers in the world, driving the enemy back step by step, never once realizing that they were meant to, that the ground they were winning was ground Hannibal had chosen to give. Then, on the wings, the war elephants lumbered forward, enormous and terrible, and the Roman horses screamed and panicked at the sight and smell of them, breaking ranks in confusion. Into that chaos, Hannibal's stronger cavalry swept both flanks clean and drove them from the field, leaving the sides of the Roman army suddenly, fatally bare. And then, out of the dry
Advance the
ditch
center. Left
that had
flank.
hidden
Hold your
them
position.
silently
Do not
through
let them
the
escape
whole
the fog.
long night, Mago and his 2,000 chosen men rose and slammed into the Roman rear at a dead run. Struck from the front, struck from both sides, and now struck from behind, the great army began to fold in on itself, orders no longer reaching the men,
Maintain the formation!
the trap
Forward march!
complete. And yet, in the very heart of the ruin,
We bring urgent
something
news from the north.
magnificent
The legions at
refused
Trebia are
to die.
shattered! The Carthaginians have broken our lines.
10,000 Roman
It is a disaster.
veterans,
Hold the line.
still shoulder
We
to
are through
shoulder,
the pass.
still in
Italy awaits
formation,
us below.
still disciplined, even as death closed in from every direction, would not break and would not beg. They
The northern
lowered their
tribes are moving
heads,
faster than anticipated.
drove
We must
straight
send
through
word
the
to the legions on the
Carthaginian
frontier.
center
How did they bypass
and
the
marched out the
Aqua
other side into the open country beyond. Not routed, not shattered, defeated, but unbowed, carrying their honor out of a field that had taken everything else.
Charge! Push them back!
When the fighting
Hold the
ended,
line! Attack!
as many as 28,000 Romans lay killed, wounded,
This
or
way,
captured.
quickly! Protect the
And
commander!
Hannibal's own
Hold formation
losses
around
were
him!
only a
Back to
fraction
the camp!
of that. He had beaten both Roman consuls in a matter of weeks, on Roman soil, with no supply line and
We offer
no
terms that
way
will spare your
home.
people. Open the
And
gates,
now
and no
you
harm
have
will come
the
to
answer to
Clastidium.
the
Your word
question
means
we
little,
began
Carthaginian.
with.
Why should we trust you?
It was never his strength that won. It was his mind. He had seen every move before the Romans made it, and turned their own confidence into the weapon that destroyed them. And yet, the victory took something from him, too. In the freezing weeks that followed, nearly all of his great war elephants, the same beasts that had terrified an army into
We must
ruin,
attack now while the fog
died
conceals us.
slowly
The
of
men
their
are freezing,
wounds
Sempronius.
and the
We
cold,
cannot advance in this
until
weather.
by spring,
The hour demands
only a
action,
single
not
one
hesitation.
remained alive.
We march immediately, or
Even
we lose this
triumph,
advantage.
it seems, has a price that the winner pays in silence. But the strangest wound of all was the one
I
Rome
understand your impatience,
refused to
gentlemen,
feel.
but we must wait.
When the
Hasty action
news
in this
reached
fog
the
would be
Senate,
disastrous.
they
We hold our
blamed
position.
the river.
Hannibal is baiting us, Sempronius.
They
He wants us to
blamed
attack on
the
his terms.
cold.
We must wait. Wait, we
They
cannot show weakness,
blamed
Scipio. The legions are ready now.
Sempronius and his haste. They blamed everything except the man across the water. Because it is
Check
easier,
that chainmail, soldier.
always,
We march soon.
for proud
It is
men
secure,
to curse
Centurion.
the weather
We are ready for the
than to
Carthaginian.
admit they have met a
Attack!
mind
Move forward!
greater than their own.
Hold the
And
line!
that
Hold the
refusal
line!
to understand him would cost them more than any single battle ever could. For within months, at a quiet lake called Trasimene, Hannibal would not wait for Rome to come to him. He would disappear
Your plea for help
into the
is heard.
morning fog
Centurions,
and
the enemy
lead an
approaches.
entire
Form the
army
line.
into a
We
trap
give them the battle they seek.
never saw coming. And that story is where this one truly begins.